We shot out at a honeybee farm in Mansfield, Louisiana. And when we went to scout it, the beekeeper who runs the place, who's this wonderful man named Randy Fair, he took us into his special room. And it's a small room but filled with huge mounted heads of elk and deer. And when we saw it, we thought, what could we possibly do? We have to shoot in this room, but what are we going to do in this room? So it became a sort of secret room in the story where the little girl sneaks into this place, and inside there's a box of bee-themed toys that her grandmother's purchased for her little sister who's about to be born. And she sort of sneaks in and starts pulling the toys out and finds these wings in there, these little bumblebee wings, and those bumblebee wings become sort of a major part of her character. And there's a tug of war between the grandmother and the little girl about keeping these wings. And so it was kind of a scene where we wanted to do something in this room. We didn't know what we were going to do in the room, but Randy said, yeah, if you want to, these are all animals that I've shot. And it sort of lended a certain almost horror-like drama to the relationship between the grandmother and the little girl that wasn't in the original film at all, but was just inspired by the space that he was allowing us to shoot in. And we found out, he looked at our crew size and he said, yeah, you know, this isn't as bad as what I've had here before. And we said, what do you mean people have shot here before? He said, I had about 200 people here. This is one of the characters from True Blood. This is his house. He said they came here, they shot here, they had a picnic out here where we had our beehive set up, shooting out this beautiful swamp behind their house. And he said they came in, they measured everything in my house, and then they left. And I was watching True Blood, and I looked closer, and I said, that's my bathroom. They had measured his whole house and built it from scratch on the soundstage in LA, even though they never shot in his actual bathroom.
Great story.
In the fall of 2015, there was a movie here about a biopic about the life of Hank Williams Sr. called I Saw the Light. It was my first movie in Shreveport. Dante Spinotti was the DP and I'm in the camera department. And it was probably the most exciting movie experience of my career. And I had a great time working in Shreveport. I'm based in New Orleans. Everybody kind of says, oh, if you have to go to Shreveport, it's sort of it's far from home, they don't love coming up here. I had an excellent experience here and wanted to come back. When I heard about the film prize, I thought this is great. I've met great people who live here. I would love to come back and do a movie here. And so we just decided to go for it. I left a job early that I was on, a Key and Peele movie they're making in New Orleans, to come up here and do my short. And couldn't be happier about how it's gone.
And the title is?
The title is called Honey in the Hive. And it's a story about a little girl who is dropped at her grouchy queen bee grandmother beekeeper's house. You don't really know why at the beginning, and you find out that she is an adopted little girl who's expecting the arrival of a new little sister. And she's terrified about the idea of being superseded, which is one queen bee replacing the old queen bee. And so as her grandmother describes to her how a beehive works, the little girl imagines her own life as a queen bee who's about to be replaced, and she wants to fight for her life, basically. But all seen very much through the imagination of a little girl, with some funny parts. There's a scene that came together in the edit really pretty well, where the old, very curmudgeonly grandmother asks this little 7-year-old girl if she knows about the birds and the bees. And there's a little expression where she just kind of looks at her grandmother and her mouth opens a little bit like, are we really going to have this conversation? And the grandmother says, this is the bees part, and goes into how bees procreate. And it ends up being really kind of a humorous, really effective part of the edit. So far, the rough cut, we like it. Go. So my name is Austin Alward. I grew up in southern Indiana. My mom is from the south of France and my dad is a Hoosier. And so when I first came to Louisiana, it was the closest approximation, the combination I've ever experienced of France and southern Indiana. So I felt at home here and didn't want to go anywhere else. I went to school in Wisconsin. University of Wisconsin has a pretty good film program. And then went to work as a camera assistant in Paris for 2 years, and then to Los Angeles, and then eventually moved to New Orleans 1 month before Hurricane Katrina. And I've been a camera assistant, directed some things before, one short that kind of did the festival circuit in 2000, and it was great, but so much goes into, as everyone on the Film Prize knows, resource-wise and energy-wise, so much goes into making your own movie that I got into then just working on other people's movies, and have learned an incredible amount from that. And now, because the Film Prize is here and I had such a good experience in Shreveport, I wanted to try it again, making my own stuff. And last year I did a workshop, an 8-week workshop online with by Skype with what do they call them? An executive, studio executive for a small studio in Los Angeles that they just made this movie called Whiplash last year. They produced Drive, and it was a really interesting workshop because there were only 8 writing students, and then this executive who all he does every day is read scripts, and he would give us feedback, and we wrote 80 pages of a 120-page script. Each one of us had to turn in 10 pages every week for 8 weeks, and that really kind of helped push me back into the mindset of I'm gonna make my own stuff and try to start being a motor for projects that start in Louisiana and don't just come here from somewhere else and then get made here and we all thank them for the job and then they leave. I'm really interested in working with people who are based here, want to be based here no matter what happens to the tax incentives, and discover where those people are. Some of them I've heard are here in Shreveport, so that we can start figuring out if it's a good fit to work together on some projects and have more of an independent film community in Louisiana that fits the caliber of the skill of the people making movies for outside companies here in Louisiana.